This is not just an audio interface. It's an entire studio plus a second audio interface. In my hand today is the Zen Quadro Synergy Core interface from Antelope Audio. This is a crazy feature-packed audio interface that's great for just about anyone. Today I'm going to talk through all of the key features, talk through a couple of advanced features, show all of the software and plugins that come with it, and I'll even show you some sound samples so you can know for yourself what this actually sounds like. Full disclosure, Antelope Audio did send this over to me. They did not specify what I need to say, and no money has changed hands, so they're not buying my opinion or anything like that. They did, however, provide a 10% off coupon code to share with my audience. That's you watching this, and I have that down in the description and the comments if you are interested in that. All right, a bit about the device. On the front panel here, you have two jacks. They can be either instrument, mic, or line. You also have two headphone jacks. These are independent headphone jacks with independent headphone amps. And then on the back, we have two more combo jacks. They can either be mic or line, but not high Z instrument input. So if you need to plug in guitar, bass, you got to do that on the front. We also have the main left-right monitor outputs, as well as two additional line outs for you to do whatever you want with. And then we have some SPDIF, I think that's how you say it, SPDIF digital in and outs, and then two USB-C ports. On the front panel, or top, or whatever you want to call this, you have three main buttons that will allow you to cycle through all of the controls, all of the menus, and then one big awesome knob here with a really satisfying click. And then on the left side, you have an ADAT in to connect an additional 8 channels of audio. Some other specs about this: total I/O is 14 in and 10 out, and the preamps offer up to 75 decibels of super clean gain. So if you are one of those SM7B users and your interface is kind of noisy because you have to turn it all the way up to power the SM7B, this is really good about that. I feel like I do not need a cloud lifter or anything like that, and this is by far one of the quietest solutions for the SM7B that I've heard. This thing also has some insane analog to digital conversion. It's actually the same conversion that's found in the Galaxy series, which is like their high-end flagship, like use it with your API console type stuff. So really good quality converters. They have 130 decibels of dynamic range conversion, and they also have their own proprietary 64-bit AFC clocking technology. All that to say, it sounds really good, really crisp and clear and pristine. So once you get this plugged in, set up, and get all the drivers installed, it wasn't too bad of a process. Took about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You got to make an account and everything like that. You can open this up and open the control panel of the device. This will launch the mixer and allow you to get super deep into the control of everything there. Okay, as you can see along the top here, you have your controls for your 4 onboard preamps, and you can toggle between what they're doing right here. Really easy to set up, and these are remote controlled gains, so you can adjust it right on the software, and it does adjust it for the interface. This section here will toggle your different mixer views. So this main one here, monitors and headphones, will allow you to control what you're hearing. So the sound that's going to your monitors or your headphones or your line out, your headphones too, all of that can be configured here and panned and all of that type of thing. So the software does take a little bit to get your head around, but you can basically do anything you want. So all of these channels here, they don't need to be what you see. They can be anything. You can make this first channel be preamp 2, so you have 2 preamp 2s recording. It's really up to you and how you want to configure this. So if you're used to some sort of professional mixing console or anything like that, this is going to feel at home, where you can route and assign different inputs and outputs and all of that kind of thing. The software does hit all of your standard things like super low latency monitoring, custom headphone mixes, all of that kind of stuff that most interfaces can do. This can also do, so don't worry there. The Zen Quadro software also has its own reverb. Now this is just for monitoring, so you can hear it in the headphones and the speakers and the line out and that kind of thing, but you cannot record it. But you can access that by clicking right here, and it'll bring up basically sends and pan for everything going there, and then you have a bunch of different options for reverbs, and you can tweak all the things about it. And then you have a master for your headphones and monitor. Another great thing that comes built into the interface is their whole DSP and plugin system. It reminds me so much of the UAD interfaces, and it will basically allow you to either monitor and record through a combination of plugins or whatever you want. They have a handful of stuff that's included, but then they also have stuff that you can buy on your own additionally. But you don't have to buy anything to use it. They do give you a small suite of plugins you can use right out of the box. They have a few mic preamp type type things. So if you want to add a little bit of color on the way in, you could do that there. They also have, and this is probably the most exciting part to me, but they have some options for compression. So my favorite that's included would probably be this 76 style compressor. And that works just like an 1176 on the way in and just kind of control your levels a little bit. I think that's huge. Another cool thing that this interface allows you to do is simultaneously record the same input twice, and once without processing and once with processing. A good example here would be, let's say for preamp 1, I've got my vocal mic in it, I'm compressing it with this 1176, but I'm not sure 100% that I want that on my finished audio, but I do want it as an option. So if you come down here, you can click this second channel or any channel you want and go ahead and assign it to another preamp. So now this preamp 1, pull this down and show you. So now you can see here on channel 1, we are compressing the vocal, it's getting compressed, and then over on channel 2, it is not getting compressed. And you can route this into your DAW or whatever you're using to record, and one channel will be compressed and affected and the other will not. So I think that's a huge plus, and it allows you a ton of flexibility and not having to commit to these plugins if you don't want to. I'm sure you want to hear what this sounds like, so I'm going to go ahead and record a couple of demos. I'll use some built-in processing to kind of sweeten the sound. And so I'll do an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, and my vocals, so you can really get a wide range of sources and wrap your head around what this might sound like in your situation. Now I'm speaking into the Shure SM7B, going directly into the Zen Quadro, and I'm going to add plugins and tweak it while talking so you can hear what the plugins actually do in real time. So I'm going to go right here to preamp 3, which is where I'm plugged in, and let's start with a preamp. So I really like this one. It just gives it a little bit of something, a little something extra there. You can probably hear that, and I'm just going to pull back the trim so that when I bypass it, it's roughly the same level. So that just gives like a little something. Next I'll add a compressor. So I'm going to go down to the 1176. This is just my favorite one. Set a little faster attack, faster release. So we have more of a broadcast style here. It's still a little too compressy for my taste. So I'll slow down that attack a bit, smooth things out, and pull up the input gain a little bit, pull up the output, pull down the output. I'm just tweaking. Next, let's get a vintage EQ, and I really like this. This is the Pultec style. So I know I want a little bit of high boost on it, kind of a broad thing here. Really get that, I'm overdoing it on purpose, but really get that silky top end there. Put a little bit of attenuate on the ultra high just to keep that from getting out of control. Next, we'll bass boost my voice, which it certainly doesn't need it, but check, check, check. We'll do a little bit of that to tighten things up. So that's kind of walking through and putting some plugins on it in real time. And then if you want to hear the whole thing bypassed and engaged, bypass there. So now we're just down to raw microphone, and then now we're super processed Shure SM7B with some plugins. But hopefully that gives you a good idea of what a vocal sounds like with and without the processing. There is one feature this interface has that I have not seen replicated anywhere else, and that's the addition of the second USB-C port. And this allows it to act completely as a second interface. So what I can do is connect this to my computer via USB-C 1, and that'll be kind of my main audio interface. And then I can come out of USB-C 2 to another computer or an iPad or something like that and grab all that audio and record it to a dedicated recording software if I want to capture the audio separately, or if I want to live stream, say, connect my iPad directly to YouTube or Instagram and live stream like that, this will allow me to do it. So that's a huge plus for content creators because I've definitely scratched my head a ton of times trying to figure out how all of this works in a content creation standpoint, and this makes it really easy with that second USB-C. So I'll show you how to get that set up because sounds a little complicated. It's not bad though. So first thing we're gonna do is connect the first USB-C port, and then it's gonna go ahead and power up. While that's happening, I'm gonna grab my laptop and get that connected up via USB-C 2. I'm gonna connect my second USB-C cable to the second port, and then connect this straight over to my MacBook. And then I'm gonna take the mic I use for my content, my SM7B, and go ahead and plug that into one of the inputs on the back. So now you can see my audio is coming in preamp 3, and then you can pull this up. Now to my monitor and headphone 1 mix, you can see this mic is coming through. Now, where this gets really interesting, if you come over here to USB 2 I/O, this is what is going to and returning from the USB 2 cable. So you can have a loop back from headphone 1 and 2. You have a ton of options. You can just directly put a preamp here if you want to, but I like the loop back from headphone 1 and 2. So whatever I'm hearing in my headphones is going out that USB-C cable over to my MacBook. And then if I come over here, I can set an audio input to, I'm gonna use OBS for this, but you can use whatever you have. And I will go ahead and set Zen Quadro USB-C 2. And it is literally that simple. And now I'm getting audio over to my laptop. And whatever happens on my computer, whatever happens in this headphone mix, it will go over there in a summed stereo mix. So that is huge. You can also return back via that same USB-C 2 cable. So if you're running 2 Logic sessions or something like that, you can pipe all that sound back from Logic through here. There's a ton to mess with as far as routing and that kind of thing, but this can really hit all of your bases as far as what kind of customization and stuff you might need. Pros and cons about this guy to help you decide if this is actually a good fit for you or not. I'll start with pros. Pro, build quality is great. Everything feels solid. I love the satisfying click that all these buttons have. It's a great tactile feedback to know what's going on. The flexible mixing software is huge. You can literally route that to do whatever you need. So if you have some weird complex applications, or you just need this to cover a lot of bases as far as utility goes, then this is another great option there. Another pro is all of the onboard effects and built-in DSP and all of that stuff. It's more than just an interface. It's kind of like you're getting some rack gear, off to the side tucked in, or a small computer to run plugins off of, whatever you think. And the DSP is very powerful. Another huge pro, again, is that second USB-C cable for content creation and live streaming and all of that. Really makes this a flexible device. As far as cons, I do have some issues and complaints with it. Number one, there's no MIDI, surprisingly. I feel like there could have been a little room on the side for some MIDI cables, even those tiny 3.5 millimeter MIDI solutions. There's no MIDI on it, unfortunately. Another thing that kind of bothered me is headphone 1 and monitor 1 share the same mix. Say you're doing some vocal recording, you've got your microphone, you're listening to it in the headphones, you have the monitoring so you can hear it in the headphones, and you turn up your monitor, it could feed back because now that vocal is coming out the monitor. And in the past, in other devices, I have seen it and prefer it this way as a separate mix. So you have your headphone mix and then you have your separate monitor mix. That could be worked around by using headphone 2 as your main headphone because that is a separate mix from the monitors. It's just something to note. There's one little kind of workaround there. You have to use headphone 2 if you don't want it to come out the monitors. You can always mute the monitors, but to me that's a little risky, little feedback prone right there. Other than that, there is a bit of a learning curve to the software and you kind of got to learn the plugins and that kind of stuff. But I spent about 30 minutes. I watched a couple of tutorials and I had a great handle on things. But I'd love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on this interface and if you think it would work well in your setup. As I mentioned earlier, I do have that 10% coupon code. So if you decide you want one, I have that linked down below in the comments and also in the description. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and we'll see you on the next one.